don't negotiate with your demons. You lock them in the basement and throw away the key. There comes a point when managing your emotions, regulating your cravings, or understanding your pain isn't enough. You've done all that. You've journaled. You've meditated. You've reasoned with your inner critic, and you're still stuck. Why? Because some parts of you were never meant to be healed. They were meant to be eliminated. You don't manage the infection. You cut it out. You don't fix the parasite. You starve it. You don't make peace with the traitor inside your own mind. You imprison it behind walls so thick it forgets how to whisper. This is not about being gentle. This is about survival. This is about constructing a mental vault where your worst impulses, your excuses, your emotional triggers, every sabotaging force you've ever known, is locked away permanently, not studied, not comforted, erased. This is the vault mindset. And if you're not ready to build it, you're not ready to win. Forge the vault in solitude. You want to be great? You want to be feared by your former self? You want to walk into a room and carry that stillness that can't be shaken? Then stop seeking applause. Stop chasing company. And go disappear for a while. The strongest walls are forged in solitude. When no one's watching. When the spotlight is off. When the only audience is the voice inside you that tells you to quit. But you don't. You stay. You suffer through the monotony, the repetition, the silence. And something happens in that darkness. Your thoughts become clearer. Your movements become precise. Your tolerance for mediocrity dies a slow, beautiful death. The vault begins with your ability to sit alone, without distraction, without stimulation, and still train like a machine. That's where the mental steel is formed. While others run to the noise, you dig deeper into the silence. And when they finally look up from their comfort, they'll see the fortress you've become. And it will terrify them, because they know they can't reach you anymore. You've built something they don't have the discipline to even start. Seal away excuses. Burn the blueprints. Excuses are the architects of the mediocre. They are clever, seductive, and they always arrive right on time. I didn't sleep enough. I'll start tomorrow. This one time won't matter. They pretend to be reasons, but they are rot in disguise. And every time you entertain them, you give weakness oxygen. The vault mindset doesn't debate with excuses. It executes despite them. You think the warrior waits for the mood to be right? You think the master hesitates because the stars aren't aligned? No. They move. They act. They do what must be done, not what feels convenient. And when the temptation comes to rationalize weakness, you don't argue. You don't think. You shut the mental gate. You bolt it tight. And you burn the damn blueprints, so there's no path back to softness. The vault has no windows, no trapdoors, no nostalgia for old habits, only darkness, only silence, only order. Exile the inner weakling. Everyone has a version of themselves they despise. The one that hesitates. The one that chooses comfort. The one that buckles under pressure and calls it being human. Most people coddle this version. They say, "It's okay, you're doing your best." They feed it little victories to keep it alive. But you're not most people. The vault mindset demands exile. That part of you is not welcome. It is a liability, a threat, a cancer. So you don't talk to it. You don't console it. You don't give it screen time. You build a dark chamber in your mind where that version of you is locked away for good. You visit it not to hear its thoughts, but to remind yourself what happens when you give in. You let it rot behind bars, and you evolve. Because that weakness is not you. It was never you. It was the old shell you had to break to uncover what you were always meant to become. A version of yourself no longer governed by indecision or fear. One that has no exit routes and no reverse gears. The door is locked. The key is gone. And the weakling is screaming in the dark. Unheard, irrelevant, powerless. Emotion is the enemy of execution. They told you to listen to your heart, to be in touch with your emotions, to take it easy on yourself. And now you're stuck. Overthinking, overfeeling, overwhelmed. Emotion is not a compass. It's a storm. It distracts. It delays. It dilutes. You don't execute from emotion. You execute from principle. You execute from code. Because emotion will lie to you. It will tell you to stay in bed, to take a break, to lower the standard just this once. And every time you give it power, your vault cracks. Not visibly, not all at once, but hairline fractures begin to spread until the whole thing collapses and you're back to where you swore you'd never return. So you must harden yourself. You must become deaf to the sirens of temporary relief and obedient to the voice of long-term dominance. The vault mindset doesn't ask how you feel. It tells you what to do, and you do it. Cold, relentless, immovable. Reinforce the vault daily with ruthless discipline. The vault isn't built once. It is reinforced daily. You don't just become disciplined. You stay disciplined. Every time you feel like skipping a task and you do it anyway, you fortify your vault. Every time you take the hard road while others seek ease, you thicken the walls. Every time you push past your limits, you etch your legacy into stone. Discipline is not a moment. It's a lifestyle. A sacred contract with the future version of yourself that you refuse to betray. And here's the truth. If you don't build your vault, someone else will build a cage around you. The system, the job you hate, the life that feels like a rerun. That's what awaits the undisciplined. A life decided by others. A mind controlled by cravings. A destiny hijacked by comfort. But not you, because you've built the vault. And now, nothing soft gets in, and nothing weak gets out. When the world knocks, stay silent. People will question you. They'll mock your standards. They'll say you've changed. Good. Because the vault doesn't answer to the world. It doesn't explain itself. It doesn't care to be understood. The vault lives in silence. And silence is where legends are born. Let them talk. Let them doubt. Let them stay soft. You stay locked in, committed, unseen, untouchable. And one day, they'll wonder how you built an empire without a word. They'll search for the blueprint, but you burned it. They'll look for the weakness, but you buried it. And they'll never understand that while they were negotiating with their demons, you were throwing yours in the basement, locking the door, and swallowing the key. Phase 1. The Reckoning. Objective. Face the full truth of your weakness, without filters, justifications, or excuses. You can't transform what you won't admit exists. This is the phase most people skip, because it's the one that hurts the most. It demands confrontation. It requires you to look directly at the ugliest parts of yourself and stop pretending they're temporary, circumstantial, or just a phase. No. They are habits. They are patterns. They are anchors chained to your potential. And until you see them with absolute clarity, you are not ready to be free. The lie of soft awareness. Modern self-help tells you to be gentle with yourself, to accept where you are, to meet yourself with love. But if you're in this phase, it's because you've already tried that. You've read the quotes. You've listened to the podcasts. You've forgiven yourself 500 times for the same behavior. And still, you fall. That's because what you need isn't love. It's war. You don't need another hug. You need a hammer. A hammer to shatter the mirror that's been lying to you. A hammer to break down the door to the part of you you've refused to confront. This is the reckoning, and it is not kind. But it is the most honest gift you'll ever give yourself. Turning the lights on. Imagine walking into a pitch-black room. It stinks. It's cold. You hear whispers, but you can't see anything. That's your unconscious mind, full of habits, regrets, doubts, and mental programming accumulated over years of neglect and denial. Now imagine flipping the switch. Every cobweb becomes visible. Every shadow is exposed. And what you find might disgust you. That's the point. You are supposed to feel sick. You are supposed to recoil. Because that sickness is the truth finally surfacing. And only in that raw, unfiltered light do you gain the power to change anything. The audit of brutality. Sit down. Turn off your phone. Close the door. And write. Hard. Write down every weakness you've allowed to survive. Every time you said just this once and broke a promise to yourself. Every time you skipped what mattered because comfort was louder. Every time you blamed someone else when deep down, you knew it was on you. Every part of you that knows better, but chooses worse. Don't write excuses. Write confessions. Because this is your psychological war report. And every line you write is another exposed enemy hiding in your ranks. Identify the enemy's voice. Weakness doesn't just exist in behavior. It lives in the voice that justifies those behaviors. The voice that says, you deserve a break. It's not that serious. You're only human. You've heard that voice. You've obeyed that voice. And it's time to identify it as the traitor it is. From this point forward, that voice becomes your target. When it speaks, you don't negotiate. You prepare the vault. Because it's not just what you do that matters. It's who you listen to in the dark. Why this hurts, and why it must. You may feel shame. You may feel guilt. You may feel like breaking down as you face these patterns. Good. That means the mask is coming off. You are bleeding. But for the first time, you're bleeding honestly. Every ounce of discomfort right now is fuel. It's pain that is finally on the surface, ready to be used rather than buried. This is the moment when you stop being a passenger in your life. This is the moment when you grab the wheel, look in the rearview mirror, and whisper, never again. Reckoning ritual, daily task. Here is your first act of war. Every morning for 7 days, write the same 3 things. What weakness tried to take control yesterday? How did I let it speak? What will I do today that proves it's locked away? By the end of this ritual, the fog of self-deception will start to burn away. You'll stop being surprised by your failures, and you'll start predicting them, controlling them, because now you know where the enemy lives. And more importantly, you know where to dig the vault. Final reminder for phase 1. This phase is the deep breath before the slaughter. It's your last look at the old self before you leave them behind, forever. There is no moving forward until you've completed this reckoning with blood and clarity. Once you've done that, Once you've written the confessions, identify the traitor's voice, and burn the mask. Then you're ready to build something new, something ruthless, something unstoppable. The vault. And now, we seal it. Phase 2. The seal. Objective. Create the mental vault and begin locking away weakness permanently. This is the phase where a line is drawn in stone. You are no longer the person who tries to resist temptation. You are now the architect of your own mental prison. For every excuse, every indulgence, every emotional tantrum that once had power over you, they don't get to roam free anymore. They don't get to take the wheel, whisper in your ear, or hijack your progress. You are done negotiating with sabotage. Now, you build the vault. Not a metaphor, not an idea. A real psychological fortress in your mind with walls so thick, weakness cannot escape. Because weakness isn't something you manage anymore. It's something you bury alive. Why most people never seal it? Let's be clear. Most people never make it past this phase because it requires one thing they fear the most: permanence. They want to leave a door open, just in case. They want to feel strong, but still have access to weakness when it feels convenient. They say things like, "I'll try to quit. I'll limit it. Just this once." No, that's not sealing the vault. That's painting it shut. You want to build a life of domination? Then weakness can't just be ignored. It must be locked away and forgotten. Not tamed, not tolerated, terminated. This phase is about drawing up the blueprints for your mental stronghold and then burning every other map. Step 1. Design the vault. Close your eyes. Visualize a chamber. Deep, cold, soundproof. Stone walls, steel locks, no windows. A place so impenetrable, nothing inside can influence your behavior again. Now fill it. What goes inside? Every excuse that's stolen a goal from you. Every bad habit that's cost you time, money, or self-respect. Every toxic mindset that kept you reactive, emotional, and undisciplined. Every destructive self-narrative. I'm not good enough. I always fail. I can't change. You see them. You name them. You lock them. And you understand. This is not temporary. This is solitary confinement for sabotage. Step 2. Seal the door with code. The vault isn't just locked. It's coded. And the code is discipline. Not a mood, not a feeling. Not a day when everything aligns. Discipline is the cold, unwavering key that keeps the vault shut. Every time you act in discipline, the walls reinforce. Every time you choose structure over emotion, the locks tighten. Every time you say no to the voice of weakness, you hear the bolts echo through the chamber. But this part requires one thing: a code of conduct. Here's what that means. You will not negotiate with yourself after a decision has been made. You will never speak kindly to the parts of you that once betrayed your future. You will not revisit old weaknesses just to see if you've grown. You will not indulge self-pity, even for a second. This is your oath to yourself. Once it's sealed forever. Step 3. Eliminate the back doors. Now comes the most dangerous part: the escape routes. Everyone builds their mental vault with just one emergency exit. A cheat day. A phone call to a toxic ex. A guilty pleasure that they keep just in case. And that is the weakness that breaks the seal. Because here's the truth. The vault doesn't get breached through the front. It gets eroded through small, hidden compromises. back doors disguised as self-care. You must hunt these down and eliminate them with precision. This means removing the food from your house you accidentally binge, deleting contacts you accidentally text, cutting the apps that accidentally waste your time, blocking the triggers before they even knock. Back doors are not options. They are betrayals in waiting. And in the vault mindset, betrayal equals death of your future self. Step 4. Ritualize the lockdown. You can't build a vault once and assume it stays sealed forever. You must perform a daily lockdown ritual to reinforce it. Because even after you seal it, the voices inside will scream. They will claw at the walls. They will beg for just one more taste. You respond with routine, with power, with a ritual that reminds them they no longer run this kingdom. Example, daily vault lockdown ritual. Morning statement, spoken out loud. Weakness has no vote. Emotion has no authority. Discipline decides. Trigger protocol. When an old habit calls, physically pause, breathe, visualize the vault, and command, back to the dark. Evening audit. Write one line. What tried to escape today? Then write, what did I do to lock it back up? By repeating this, your brain begins to automate the response. Eventually, temptation arises, and your default isn't indulgence, it's imprisonment. Step 5. Burn the blueprints. This is the final act of commitment. You don't just lock the vault, you destroy the path that leads back to your old self. That means publicly declaring your new code. No hiding. Removing all tools of your old identity. Clothes, accounts, contacts, habits. Telling people you used to indulge with, that version of me is gone. You burn the bridge. You bury the remains. And you make the vault the only shelter left to return to. There is no safety net. Only stone. Only silence. Only the fortress you've built through blood, detachment, and war. The truth about the seal. It isn't easy. It isn't fast. But it is liberating. When you finally lock away the parts of yourself that have kept you average, you'll feel a wave of silence that at first feels terrifying and then becomes addictive. Because you'll finally realize something most people never understand. The part of you that you thought you needed was the part that was stealing everything from you. And now, it's locked in the dark, screaming, powerless, and you're still here, calm, focused, free. Phase 3. The silence. Objective. Thrive in solitude and rejection. Train in the absence of praise. Become unstoppable without applause. This is where most people quit. Not because it's the hardest phase physically, but because it's the quietest one spiritually. It's not glamorous. It's not loud. There's no praise, no spotlight, no reassurance that you're on the right track. Just silence, deafening, isolating, sacred silence. And that's exactly what makes this phase the most important of all. If you can't thrive in the dark, you were never meant to lead in the light. Why silence feels like death to the undisciplined. When you stop posting every win, when you stop checking likes, seeking approval, or chasing validation, you lose the drug that kept your ego alive. And when that drug wears off, you feel empty, unseen, irrelevant. But here's the brutal truth. That version of you needed to die. Because the need to be seen is the need to be validated externally. And validation is vulnerability in disguise. What happens when the applause stops? What happens when nobody notices your progress? For most, the habits crumble, the fire fades, They fall back into mediocrity, whispering, "No one saw it, so what's the point?" But for those who adopt the vault mindset, the silence becomes sacred, because you stop doing it for them, and you start doing it because it's who you are. The power of becoming a ghost. In this phase, you become a ghost in the gym of life. You don't announce your progress. You hide it. You don't film your grind. You vanish into it. You move in the shadows. You train in solitude. You build when no one's clapping. And the longer you do this, the more dangerous you become. Because while everyone else needs attention to act, you act without attention. This is what separates the elite from the loud. The elite become masters in isolation. Step 1. Cut the noise. The first step is ruthless disconnection. Not a digital detox. Not a 30-day challenge. A permanent severing of the lifelines that keep you addicted to attention. That means no validation seeking. No progress posts. No dopamine scroll loops. No waiting for someone to notice your change. You rip out the antenna. You stop listening for applause. And you start tuning into the voice inside that actually matters. Because growth doesn't need a witness. It needs discipline and silence. Step 2. Ritualize solitary repetition. Discipline is not built in the heat of emotion. It's built in the cold of routine. And in phase 3, you create a world so boring, so methodical, that your old identity starts to panic and die. Here's what that looks like. Same wake time, same rituals, same food, same reps, same silence, every single day. Because repetition in solitude builds something emotion never could. Identity without noise. You stop saying, "I'm trying to be disciplined," and you start becoming the disciplined one. No validation, no witnesses, no applause, just silence and work. Step 3. Train in the dark while others sleep. The most powerful shift happens when your discipline becomes invisible to the world. You run in the cold when no one's outside. You read books when others binge. You lift when no one's watching. You build in total silence. Why? Because it sends a message, not to them, but to you. It tells your subconscious, we don't need eyes on us. We don't need rewards. We just need orders. And when the subconscious is trained like that, it becomes a weapon. Automatic, deadly, loyal. Your actions no longer rely on motivation. They rely on your mission. Step 4. Embrace isolation as the forge. Solitude is not punishment. It is preparation. All the greatest transformations happen in silence. The caterpillar does not become a butterfly in public. The blade does not become a sword on display. The seed does not become the oak beneath applause. They change alone, unseen, in total darkness. And so must you. You must learn to train while feeling forgotten, to improve without praise, to lead without followers. Because this is the phase where you discover something no one can take from you. Unshakable self-respect. Not built on compliments. Not built on rewards. But built on the knowledge that you did it anyway. Even when no one cared. Step 5. Watch the world forget you. Then fear you. This is the part that breaks weak minds. When you vanish to build, the world forgets you. No texts, no calls, no invites. They think you fell off, that you gave up, that you disappeared, and you say nothing. You don't defend your absence. You become the silence, because you know something they don't. While they were chasing attention, you were building something so brutal, so refined, so untouchable, that when you re-emerge, They won't recognize you. And they'll ask, where did this come from? And the answer will be simple: the silence. Silence training protocol. Daily practice. To implement phase 3 fully, live by this protocol every day. The silent hour. 60 minutes of daily, uninterrupted focus. No phone, no talking, no distractions. Pure output. The invisible reps. Do at least one act of progress every day that no one knows about but you. A workout, a journal entry, a book read, a cold shower, for no audience. The echo reflection. Each night ask, who was I today when no one was looking? Document your answer. Correct if necessary. This is how you calibrate to the code, not the crowd. The gift of phase 3. By the end of this phase, you will walk differently. Your eyes won't scan the room for validation. Your energy won't waver with opinion. Your identity won't fluctuate with feedback. You'll sit in rooms and not need to speak. You'll move in silence and still shift the atmosphere. Because when you've trained in darkness, you don't need the light to shine. You are the flame. And now that you've mastered the silence, you're ready to execute like a weapon. Phase 4. The execution. Objective. Become a machine of pure action, devoid of hesitation, emotion, or delay. You've built the vault. You've endured the silence. Now it's time to act. Not once, not occasionally, but permanently. Execution is where all your inner work becomes external power, where theory dies, where all the books, routines, and mental frameworks either stand or collapse. This is the phase where the weak still think, but the elite move. No more questions. No more mental gymnastics. No more waiting for the right time. In this phase, you become a weapon, a being of will and structure, no longer hindered by emotion or indecision. Because if you don't execute relentlessly, you will retreat. And in this path, retreat means death. Why execution is the great separator. Everyone thinks they're disciplined until it's time to deliver daily, without applause, without fire, without feeling. Most people worship planning, but fear acting. They want a blueprint, a hack, a permission slip from the universe. But the vault mindset demands something simpler and more savage. Do the work every single day. No excuses, no exceptions, no input from your feelings. This phase separates thinkers from executors, wannabes from warriors, the almosts from the absolute. And if you truly want strength, freedom, and dominion, you must learn how to act when your mind screams for rest. Step 1. Kill the emotion. First reflex. The first step in mastering execution is eliminating the toxic pattern of feeling before action. This is the disease that kills most potential. I'm tired. I don't feel like it. I'm overwhelmed. It's not the right moment. No. This is the voice of your old self, the weakling you locked in the vault. But here it is, whispering again. And in this phase, your job is to become a cold executor, one who doesn't ask for emotional permission to act. You stop thinking like a human. You start functioning like a command unit. Command to execution. That's it. Implementation practice. Use the 5-second rule ruthlessly. Thought appears? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Move. Don't debate the task. Just start. Assume emotions are lying, and act anyway. Eventually, action becomes default, and emotion becomes irrelevant noise in the background. Step 2. Build a tactical routine with 0 gaps. Structure is your battlefield, and every unstructured moment is an opportunity for sabotage. In this phase, You build a ruthless tactical routine that removes uncertainty from your day. Because ambiguity is weakness. Structure is dominance. You need to know when you wake, what you do first, what your non-negotiables are, what gets done no matter what. You're not just trying to stay consistent. You're operating from mission protocol. This is no longer self-help. This is self-warfare. Implementation practice. Design your power schedule. A time-blocked, non-negotiable daily framework. Prioritize energy management. Highest output tasks in peak hours. Cut gray zones. No open space for wandering thoughts or passive scrolling. Structure creates peace. Structure destroys hesitation. Structure fuels flawless execution. Step 3. Focus on the process, not the outcome. Weak minds obsess over results. Vault minds obsess over execution frequency. When you're outcome obsessed, you hesitate when results delay. When you're execution obsessed, you build regardless of outcome. This is where you learn to love the repetition, the grind, the mundane. Not because it's sexy, but because it's warfare in silence. Your new reward isn't results. It's knowing you did what most wouldn't. Implementation practice. Track inputs, not outcomes. Did I execute today? Yes or no? Create a victory journal where you log acts of discipline regardless of results. Use process mantras like, we don't rise to the outcome. We rise to the level of our habits. And watch as results begin to chase you because you've stopped chasing them. Step 4. Harden yourself. Through adversity reps. Execution isn't forged in perfect conditions. It's forged when nothing's working. And you act anyway. You need to seek out discomfort on purpose. You need to turn adversity into a training ground. Because pressure reveals everything. When your schedule breaks, when you're sick, when your plan fails, those are adversity reps. And if you can still execute during chaos, you've passed a test most will never even attempt. Implementation practice. Add 1 adversity rep per week. Cold shower, fasted workout, hard task when exhausted. Keep a list of chaotic executions, times you move despite difficulty. Repeat the line, this is what separates me. Because when you can execute under pressure, you become pressure-proof. Step 5. Sharpen relentlessly with feedback loops. Execution is never finished. It is refined, sharpened, tightened daily. That means your routines aren't set in stone. They're evolving tools. Each day you act is another chance to ask, was that efficient? Was that my best? Where did I hesitate? The vault mind is ruthless with self-analysis, not to shame, but to sharpen. And over time, this feedback creates unmatched precision. You stop just working hard. You start working clean. Implementation practice. Nightly execution review. What did I crush today? What broke? How do I fix it? Weekly debrief. Audit every system, every habit, every tool. Improve or eliminate. Monthly reset. Update your code, goals, schedule, and execution metrics. You are not just acting. You are evolving. And evolution through execution is the most unstoppable force on Earth. Execution protocol. Daily practice. To live phase 4 with brutal consistency. Action before thought. First task of the day is executed before any social media, messages, or emotional distractions. Tactical non-negotiables. Minimum 3 critical actions daily that must be executed regardless of how you feel. Mental override. Phrase. When the mind resists, say, emotion doesn't get a vote. And execute. Failure analysis. If you break execution, do a written autopsy. No shame, just correction. End of day report. Did I act with precision or hesitation today? Over time, your brain learns that action is inevitable, that weakness is a glitch in the code, and that you are the system that runs this machine. The gift of execution. By the end of this phase, something terrifying happens. You stop needing motivation. You stop seeking readiness. You stop checking for signs. You just move. With precision. With finality. With fire that doesn't flicker anymore. And the world will ask, what changed? Where did you find this consistency? How are you doing this without burning out? And you'll smile, because they'll never understand. They're still waiting to feel right before they act. You already became the kind of person who acts no matter what. This is execution. And when you live here, the war is already won. Phase 5. The Dominion. Objective. Expand your mental fortress. Become the vault. Rule your impulses. Become untouchable. You've sealed the vault. You've survived the silence. You've executed without hesitation. You've endured long after the crowd stopped watching. Now you enter the final phase. The phase few ever reach. Not because it's physically harder, but because it demands permanence. This is where the vault is no longer something you use. It's something you are. A state of being. A living fortress. A walking force of nature who no longer tries to be disciplined, because discipline has become your identity. This is dominion, not over others, but over the one domain that truly matters, yourself. You've become the warden, the architect, and the king of your mind. And from this point forward, nothing gets in unless you allow it. Why most sabotage themselves? Before this point, let's make one thing brutally clear. Most people never reach dominion because they make a fatal mistake. They confuse progress with a rival. They get a few wins. They get praise. They taste a little power. And then, they let the vault door swing open again. Just a crack. Comfort returns. Temptation reappears. Emotion starts to influence decisions again. And slowly, without realizing it, they revert to their old self, wearing new clothes, impressive on the outside, weak underneath. Dominion is what prevents this, because dominion is about making the transformation irreversible, about reinforcing the vault so deeply into your identity that even you couldn't dismantle it if you tried. This is the final level, and here's how you lock it in for life. Step 1. Accept the death of your former self. Before you rule your new life, you must bury the last remains of your old one. Not mourn it, not reflect on it. Eradicate it. The old identity, the one that craved comfort, chased validation, needed emotion to act, must be dead in every possible way. This means you no longer think like them. You no longer speak like them. You no longer allow their voice in your head. You no longer identify as someone working on it. No, that part of you is a ghost. And ghosts don't get a say in how your life unfolds. You are no longer in transition. You are no longer becoming. You are the vault now. Step 2. Install a code of power. In Dominion, you don't live by emotion. You live by code. And that code governs everything. How you wake, how you train, how you respond to failure, how you handle temptation, how you act under pressure. This code becomes your new compass, one that doesn't wobble with emotion, opinion, or outcome. Example. Vault code. Discipline first. Emotion later. Do what must be done, whether I feel it or not. Silence is power. Stillness is strength. No apologies for high standards. If it weakens me, It's not allowed in my kingdom. You don't review this code. You don't negotiate with it. You live it, relentlessly, without hesitation. And over time, people will feel that code in your presence without you saying a word. Because dominion doesn't speak, it radiates. Step 3. Lead by energy, not explanation. When you've reached this phase, you no longer owe the world words. You owe them an example. You stop trying to convince people of your change. You stop explaining your boundaries. You stop justifying your silence. Because your actions are so consistent, so razor sharp, so grounded in mastery, that people begin to adjust around your presence without even knowing why. They stop offering you temptations. They stop pulling you into drama. They stop projecting their weaknesses onto you because they feel that the vault won't allow it. Dominion means you no longer fight battles with volume. You win wars with presence. Step 4. Filter everything through the fortress. At this level, everything is filtered through your vault. Nothing bypasses it. Every thought, every opportunity, every invitation, every emotion, every comment, every piece of information. You don't let your guard down because you don't have to anymore. The vault is built into your very perception. If it doesn't align with your standards, it dies at the gate. Not tomorrow, not after consideration, immediately. And because of this, you no longer waste energy fighting battles that never should have made it past the first line of defense. Dominion means your boundaries aren't reactive, they're proactive. Your protection isn't emotional, it's automatic. Your life is a fortress, not a revolving door. Step 5. Weaponize your presence to uplift or destroy. Now we reach the part no one talks about. When you've truly embodied the vault mindset, your presence becomes a weapon. People feel something in you. It's not aggression. It's not arrogance. It's not superiority. It's certainty. And certainty is rare. So rare that it terrifies the insecure and inspires the ready. You can walk into a room and immediately shift the temperature. Not because you're loud, but because you are fortified. Your energy can do one of two things. Uplift the disciplined. They feel seen, sharpened, called forward. Crush the undisciplined. They feel exposed, uncomfortable, irrelevant. You don't weaponize this to manipulate. You weaponize it to protect your kingdom, to uplift the strong, to purge the weak energy from your environment, to maintain order in your domain. This is domination without effort, and it's earned. Dominion Integration Protocol, lifelong practice. To permanently lock in this final phase, live by this protocol. The morning vault check. Ask yourself, am I acting from code or from comfort today? Then recommit to the vault code. The energy audit. Weekly review. Who or what weakened my energy this week? What boundary must be reinforced? The influence inventory. Remove or elevate. Does this person, habit, or environment reinforce the vault or try to pick the lock? The daily commandment. Speak your code out loud. Not affirmations, commands. Speak as if it's already done. The silent impact. For every 10 actions you take, let only one be seen. Train yourself to live in impact, not in exposure. The final truth of dominion. When you reach dominion, you don't celebrate. You don't throw a party. You don't post it. You don't announce anything. You just keep moving. Calm, cold, clear. Because by now, you know, your real power was never in being seen. It was in becoming someone that couldn't be shaken. The vault is not a tool anymore. You are the vault. And from this moment forward, you are untouchable. Let the world do what it does. Let the noise get louder. Let the masses rot in their own chaos. You have dominion, and in this kingdom, only strength survives. To our returning GrimFace warriors, you've walked through the fire, you've stared into the mirror, you've sealed the vault with blood and silence. You don't just listen to these messages, you live them. Your discipline echoes louder than words ever could. We see you, we respect your path, and we march forward, together. To those of you who are new, this isn't motivation. This is transformation. You felt the sting of truth in your bones. And if you're still here, it's because something inside you refuses to stay soft. So if you're ready to kill weakness at the root, to build a mind that can't be broken, to surround yourself with warriors who train in silence and conquer in stillness, then join us. Subscribe to the GrimFace movement. Lock in, seal the vault, and walk forward with us into a life most fear to even imagine. This is not a phase. This is a way of life. GrimFace out.